Hello and welcome to the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan. I am your host, JT Tapias, professional fitness life coach, and today I'm going to be speaking with you about that word that so many cringe when they hear, the word discipline. In particular, discipline leads to freedom. If this is your first time on this channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe or hit that bell notification so that every time we release a new video, you will be the first one to know. Let's go. What is up, guys? If this is your first time on this channel, I enjoy speaking about things that edify the mind, the body, and the spirit from a Christian perspective. Today, we're going to be speaking about how discipline leads to freedom. That word that so many of us don't like, but so many of us need. Proverbs 25:28 says, "A man without self-control," in other words, discipline, "is like a city broken into and left without walls." Many years ago, cities were protected by a wall, and if the city lacked a wall, the wall wasn't there, enemies could quickly invade it. Very much like ourselves. When we don't have discipline and self-control, laziness can easily invade us, and of course that creates lots of problems and reaps a lot of havoc in most people's lives. And so today we're going to touch on that, and I want to use a couple of analogies to really make a point here. If you think of a wealthy man going on a shopping spree, and spending $30, $40, $50, $60,000 in one day, that does absolutely nothing to that person's bank account, because that person, of course, has saved, invested, and they have a specific bandwidth and ability to spend that most people don't have because they have disciplined themselves in that particular area. Very much like inside of our Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan, where we teach our clients an 80-20. 80% of the time you stick to the protocols, 20% of the time you sort of get to goof off and you have the ability to not feel as restricted. This works really, really well, but of course there is a phase in where you need to be conservative and you need to apply that discipline. So if you're saying to yourself, well, that's great, but I don't have discipline and I don't think I have that gene, my friend, I'm here to tell you that I don't believe that discipline is a genetic disposition, but instead, like anything else, I believe it is a blueprint, there's a map, there is a strategy to become very disciplined. And today, I'd like to talk to you specifically about what that plan looks like and how to actually incorporate the habit of discipline. That's right, you heard me correctly, the habit of discipline. Number one, I truly believe in the power of setting an intention. What do I mean by setting an intention? An intention means that the night before you're going to do that thing, it could be the gym, or maybe you're going to start on a nutrition program, that night before you should take out a piece of paper. You should write out the date when you're going to do the particular thing. You should set a time and you should set a place. So an example, maybe you're going to be at the gym on Saturday. So you say Saturday at 9 a.m. I'm going to be at the gym, right? You write those things out. This is not a mystical thing, but instead the reticular activating system, which is the part of the brain that is in charge of reminding you of things you've seen, you've heard, you've experienced. In other words, it brings things to the forefront, goes to work. And guess what? Right around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, the hour before you set that intention, you start to feel that itch in the direction of wanting to go to the gym. Why? Because you wrote it out and you have it in your forefront, right? The reticular activating system, that part of your brain is reminding you of that thing you said you were going to do. Number two, you want to set alarms, right? We live busy lives. And if you're not setting up an alarm that's nudging you and reminding you of the thing that you need to do, then 3, 4, 5 hours are going to go by and you're going to say, oh man, I forgot to go to the gym. Or, oh man, I skipped a meal, right? And so instead of doing that, you set an alarm, and what you want to do is you actually want to name that particular alarm. So if 9 a.m. is the alarm that you have set to go to the gym, you want it to say, remember your commitment. Remember your weight. Maybe you have a weight goal, maybe you have a metric, and that's what you want to name that particular alarm. So when it goes off, it kind of triggers you, right? It hits that emotional response of that commitment that at one point when you were nice and excited can probably come back up and jolt you in the direction of the thing you need to do. So alarms are super important. Number three, visual cues. Visual cues are simply things that every time you see them, they remind you of your commitments. You want the things you want to do to be very visible, and the things that you don't want to do, you want to make very invisible. So an example of that I live with two young daughters, right? One is 2, one is 5, and for the most part, they eat pretty healthy, but I make sure that they have the things that they enjoy, and sometimes, I let them indulge in those things, like maybe mac and cheese, or maybe they have a little bit of cereal, or sometimes we have chips for them. And of course, if I leave those things floating around, guess what? I'll end up eating them instead of them. And so what I do is I hide them and I put forth the things that I want to see. So my prep meals, the things that I want to engage in, are going to be the most visible things around the house. And that's what I'm talking about in the sense of visual cues. Visual cues are very, very powerful to recommit you to the thing you said you were going to do. Number 4, you want to find an emotional why, something that you can connect with that means a lot to you. If you have a metric, if you have an event that you're going to go to, and you're going to see some friends and you're going to re-engage with those friends, or maybe you simply you have the desire to look a certain way, that type of goal is only going to get you so far. But if you actually have an emotional why, something that triggers you emotionally, because remember, emotions are the fast track to the brain. You think, you feel, you act, and hopefully out of thinking, feeling, and acting, you create good habits create good character, and then your identity changes around these things. And my friend, if you get to that is a game changer. So you want to make sure that you can connect to a very strong why. Here's some of the strongest whys that I've encountered with my clients throughout the years. JT, I got a bad doctor's report. JT, I have grandchildren. I want to be around for them. I want to make sure that I am strong and healthy. I want to make sure I can run and throw a football with my grandchildren when I'm 60, 70 years old, and I need to lose this weight. I need to get in shape. Those emotional whys go really far into the future versus the very basic ones of, I want to look a certain way, I want to fit into a dress, I want to go to a certain event. So you want to connect to a very strong emotional why. Number 5, you want to have what we call painful accountability. JT, what is painful accountability? Well, painful accountability says that you have a binding commitment, right? Most of the time, I would say that painful accountability comes from money. We invest in a program, and when we pay attention. The more we pay, the more accountable we become, right? And so I see this all the time. And you might say, well, JT, I'm really not ready to make an investment, or I don't see the value behind making an investment right now. I totally understand. If that's the case, here's what I would suggest. Maybe you take $50, $100, $500, whatever you can invest, put it into an envelope, find a third-party unbiased accountability partner, hand them that envelope, right? Give them that envelope and say, hey, I'm looking to lose 25, 30 pounds in the next 3 months. And give them a date. Say, if I don't lose that weight by that date, you can keep that envelope. But if I do, I need the envelope back. And then set up some dates with that accountability partner so that accountability partner is checking in, making sure you're doing everything you need to do. And if you do it that way, that's what I call a painful accountability. Painful accountability will always keep you on your toes, because if you're like most people, most people value money sometimes more than they do their own health and their well-being. And so if you invest in this, most likely you're going to follow through and do the thing that you need to do. Number 7, when you've been doing this for a while, you want to make sure that you can teach these principles to other people. What do I mean by that? I truly believe that the people that get the most out of any kind of learning process is the actual facilitator, the teacher. The person that is actually teaching the principles has a kind of a double-edged sword in terms of benefits, right? What happens is when you teach something, number 1, you got to prepare for it, right? It has to be very fresh in your mind. Number 2, if you are a person that wants to live congruently and genuinely, what you want to do is you want to make sure you embody those principles. And so it's going to press you to commit further into the principles you're teaching. So if you're teaching someone how to be disciplined, how to go to the gym, how to eat properly, how to food prep, how to create visual cues, how to actually honor alarms, and you start teaching this to another person that you feel can benefit from this, my friend, this is going to deepen your commitment. And then overall, when you bring all these little strategies together, this is what most people call discipline. The ability to do something that you know you should do that doesn't feel comfortable at the time, but you do it anyways, right? Discipline is exactly that. It's the trait, it's the commodity of kings. Most successful people share this trait of being disciplined. And my friend, if you're sitting on the sideline saying that all sounds great, but that's really hard and I've always struggled, I encourage you to really follow these principles and see how your life can be transformed very, very quickly. Guys, that was speaking about the disciplines that lead to freedom. My name is JT Tapias, professional fitness life coach. If this is your first time on this channel, I want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button or hit that bell notification so that every time we release information like this, you will be the first one to know. I hope you enjoyed it. I will speak to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.